When Nigerians took to the streets in 2020, the battle wasn't just on the ground, it was over information. This project explores the clash between government secrecy and the public's right to know during the EndSARS movement.
We're here to note certain people's perception on our case study, which is the EndSARS process. With me here is Naomi. She's a 300 level law student of the prestigious University of Ibadan. Let's hear what Naomi has to say about this case. Alright, so Naomi, do you think the Lagos State government violates the spirit or the letter of the Freedom of Information Act by delaying a panel report?
Well, I would say there's a reason for everything. The states, they actually know the constitution and they know the importance of freedom of, know the importance of information and the freedom of the press and all of that. So I would not say yes or no. I would say that there could have been certain reasons that are unknown to we citizens why they had to delay the release of the very important information that the citizens needed to. I don't know if I answered that question.
Can the government claim transparency while denying access to important public information?
Right. So I would say that factually it's not actually possible for them to claim transparency because, like you made clear, the government withheld the necessary information until there was pressure mounted on them. So I would say that I don't think the government can claim absolute transparency. So my own defense was that there would have been some reasons why they withheld it from the very beginning. But still, no matter what, the essence of the government is to please the citizens basically. So no matter how valid their reasons may seem, it cannot totally guarantee the fact that they had to, because such important things that concern life and death, it is not so current. So they can't claim absolute transparency on that issue.
Alright, so my last question for you is, how does withholding information affect citizens' trust in government?
Oh, definitely. The fact we all understand what legitimacy is and what it is for. The government is representing the people. There are certain things the people might not know, especially people at the grassroots level. So they lean on the government to, expose this information, give them reassurance and all of that. So the government withholding information from the citizens might. Sorry, what's the question?
How does withholding information affect citizens' trust?
Okay, yes. So it might definitely affect trust in government in the sense that they would start suspecting.
Still on the case of the perception of students on this sensitive matter, with me is a 300 level law student. I'll let him introduce himself.
Ali Abolaji Abbas.
Okay, so Mr. Lee, do you think that citizens have a legal right to know everything contained in a government investigative report?
In my perspective, I won't say everything, because according to the constitution and other laws that we can see in Nigeria, citizens are not required to know everything pertaining to the government. The government also have their own particular right that they can withhold some part of the evidence or anything they don't want the public to know. And they always do that for three reasons: to keep the country's defense and public morality, and sometimes public release information to the public. It may cause public disorder, and in that case, the government are not required to give information. So I'm using this case study of the EndSARS. To some extent, I believe the government has done their part by saying that there are no deaths recorded and nobody was injured, and they actually even put the public they put it to the public. And anybody that have a family member or a friend that is injured or dead, that should bring it out. And till now, we haven't seen anybody. Even this year, the beginning of this year, they still came out. The governor of Lagos State, they came out and they also asked that question: that if you have any family or friends that get injured or is dead due to the EndSARS that happened in Lekki Gate, but nobody has come out till now. So we can see that the government, to their extent, they actually give us information that keeps the public safety. So for me, I believe that information from the government to the citizens is not to be general. They are not going to give us everything, but at least to some extent, they should do their part.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I would just like to state that in the report, there was actually reports released by the judicial panel that was set up, and there were certain lives that the judicial panel actually reviewed to have been things that were displaced, but the government actually clamps down on this and did not release this information to the general public at first. But that's not where I'm driving to. Let me ask you my next question. That is, where should the line be drawn between protecting state interests and protecting the citizens' rights to know?
Firstly, the citizens' rights is above everything.
Where should the line be drawn between protecting state interest and protecting the citizens' rights to know?
Firstly, the citizens' rights is above everything. That's the first thing the government, that's why we have government itself. We have government so that they can protect the citizens' rights. That's their first job. So, but while doing this, some things also happen. Just like you have freedom and rights to talk, to commit slander upon another person. So that's it. So no matter how they want to uphold the citizens' rights, they also need to check it with their own power. So to some extent, I believe they have the right to actually check citizens' rights if it's going beyond what naturally they should have. So that's what I can say.
Well, can you help us relate that to the EndSARS scenario here?
Okay, the EndSARS scenario generally,
where the citizens demanded to know what has happened as regards the judicial panel's report and the government withholding or gatekeeping that information.
Okay, during the EndSARS period, there were many protests in which in some places it was peaceful and in some places it was not. So all the peaceful places, I believe there are not any death or anything. Why there are some places that there are some people that want to hijack the protest and turn it to other things. That's where the states come in, which is the government. When the thugs or anybody want to hijack protest, the states would guide them from doing that. And in doing that, it's not compulsory for them. There are cases in the constitution that they give the government power to just to override the citizens' right just to obtain the public order. So whereby this thing is coming into riots and there are many things going on, they are spoiling the protest, they are doing this. I believe the government, they are not obliged to follow the normal principle of guiding the citizens' rights or not. So when this is going beyond normal rights, when rallies and protest is becoming riots and that, so that's where the government comes in. They need to come and check the power, and they are not obliged to do any normal thing they should do.
All right, thank you so much, Mr.
So we are back from our student interview, where we interviewed the university students from the prestigious University of Ibadan, and now we'll be interviewing a legal practitioner, an expert in the field, and we'll be here to listen to her honest and professional opinion regarding the EndSARS case, which we'll be treating today. Thank you very much, Vice Keishin, for joining us. Here we have Vice Keishin all the way from Abuja, and she'll be giving us her honest and professional opinion regarding the EndSARS case. So the first question I would like to ask Vice Keishin today is, did the Lagos State government violate the spirit or letter of Freedom of Information Act by delaying the panel report?
Thank you very much for that introduction, and thank you for inviting me. I am really glad to contribute to this conversation on the legal and constitutional implication of the EndSARS protest and the enforcement of the Freedom of Information Act in Nigeria. Thank you very much for that question. I would say yes. Arguably, both the spirit and the letter of the FOI Act were undermined. But the spirit of the FOI Act is to promote transparency, accountability, and public participation in governance. The spirit is rooted in the philosophy that public servants are custodians of the public trust, and citizens have a fundamental right to know how they are being governed. When the government commissions a public inquiry into an issue of immense national concern, like the EndSARS, withholding or delaying the report weakens public trust and ultimately defeats the transparency objective of the Act. Now to the letter of the law. The letter simply means the literal word-for-word interpretation of the law. The FOI Act in Section 1 gives every person the right to access public records. It also requires public institutions to proactively publish important information in Section 2. And then Section 4 expressly provides for a 7-day timeline within which such information should be released or made available to the applicants, in the EndSARS case, the public. It also allows for an additional 7 days time frame as a 7 days extension, making it a total of 14 days within which that information should be made available. However, the Lagos State government took about 20 days to publish the report after it was leaked online. However, it was the argument of the Lagos State government that the FOI Act did not apply to Lagos State as it had not been domesticated by the State House of Assembly. And this argument was backed up by the Court of Appeal decision in the case of Austin Osakwe against Edo Saka. However, that decision had been recently overturned by the Supreme Court in April 2025.